Hello and welcome back to Triple Gaming with me, Fletcher. And welcome to the next Warthunder video, and here it is with the DERP Sherman is what I call it, the Sherman 105. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more content from all of us at Triple Gaming. But let's get right into this. So this is what I like to call the DERP Sherman, or Derpy Sherman. It's got a nice big 105mm howitzer in the turret instead of the usual 75mm gun. And today we are on this lovely snowy map here. In this is a mod camo, by the way. This is not, no one else can see this orange grey camo pattern I've got going on here. I think it would be a little obvious if this was a real camo that people could see. I think it would be too obvious and very exposed in the snow conditions here. So this Sherman, it's relatively quick and agile. What makes it unique is this howitzer and the fact that you can see at the bottom of the screen there are two types of ammunition, a high explosive round and a heat round. And as we move towards this village here, we're going to have our first contact with the enemy and we can get to see those rounds in use. So switching to the overhead view, you can see here on the left hand side in a minute we're going to have some enemy vehicles pop up as they reach the render distance. There they are, and we are basically going to be fighting 3 against 1 here. This is going to be quite a tough fight at the very beginning of the match. Now I get into position assuming they're going to come round, and we've got 2 other DERP Shermans coming my way. So let's see how this goes. The first shot, it's high explosive, it's going to blow up on the outside of the vehicle. Now it's a bit unreliable. Sometimes it will completely blow up the enemy vehicle, sometimes it will do nothing. Well, I take this first shot and hey presto, it does absolutely nothing. If we have a look at this shot in slow motion, you can see here that it blows up. Now I've got the aiming right behind this front panel of the tank here is actually an ammunition rack. So if you can go through, it will pretty much kill the vehicle in one. But this high explosive round, it's just blown up on the outside of the tank, and unfortunately I don't get very much of a result from the overpressure mechanic that's been introduced. It's just going to leave a big patch of burned out metal on the outside of the tank, and there you can see the big scuff mark there. So, but I did manage to get him scared enough to drive back, and then he fires smoke, which is a bit of a distraction, and he stops me being able to connect my second shot. Now you can see in the bottom I have switched to heat, high explosive anti-tank. That's the shell we saw in the first video. And we can see here what's going on. This Sherman has fired smoke in order to cover himself, but up the top here you can see there is another Sherman. He's taken the opportunity while I am distracted to try to come at me from the flank. Now he does a very good job of getting very close while I am distracted, but in a minute you're going to see I'm going to pop out of my view and there he is, and I pop a shot and he is dead. I set off his ammunition rack there, and now it's just me against 2, the other Sherman 105 there, still in his same position behind the house. I'm not entirely sure why he didn't move. He fired the smoke and he could have moved, but he doesn't, and again this time I hit him in the same spot and wipe him out. And now it's just me and this anti-aircraft tank here, and unfortunately he does not have the firepower to do very much to me, and I pop a shot at him and he is also out of here. That was quite a rapid 3 against 1 turned into 3 kills and no damage done to me. Let's have a look at this in slow motion then, this whole series of fights. This is the brave guy that came flanking me. Now he's made an error here. If we zoom in, you can see that I'm perfectly able to see him from where I am. I am hull down in the perfect position. He has got to ride up the ridge in front of him, actually go high and then come down in order to get his gun depressed enough to hit me. So he's actually made a critical error here. And you can see I've taken my shot. There's the 105mm heat round, similar to those that we saw in the King Tiger video the other day, and it's going to penetrate the side of his tank, and right behind that panel is an ammunition rack, and there he goes. He doesn't get much further than that. He's out of here and into the next vehicle. There's the ammunition burn off, blowing him to smithereens. And with him gone and out of the way, I can now turn my attention to the next tank. And you can see here, I've heavily braked here in order to aim up my shot on the other Sherman 105. Now, by braking, the vehicle's front actually goes down quite far, and I find it's quite an effective way of ensuring you hit the target if you're tending to aim quite high, which I tend to do. I'm quite a high aimer. So by braking sharply, I just lower the nose of the vehicle, and that enormous explosion in the background there of the other Sherman going off. And there's my next shot, the next high explosive anti-tank, and if I pass through the lens flares there, we can see that this guy popping out from behind the house and these buses here, he really should have flanked me with his ally. Instead, he pops out, he's side on, and this time round my shot is high explosive anti-tank. It's going to go right through that very thin side armor, directly into the ammunition rack that is directly behind that plate. And if you want to take out a Sherman every time, hit it here, and you can see there's the impact. It penetrates straight through, and in a minute that ammunition rack is going to go off, and we're going to have a lovely slow-mo of the Sherman's turret popping off there as all the ammunition in the vehicle detonates. A complete ammo racking, and that is the end of his Sherman 105. Look at the explosion there. That's a lot of explosive going off, and I do love just how detailed this game can be at times. You can actually, if we zoom into the destroyed Sherman, see the turret bustle and seating in that. So for this poor guy in the anti-aircraft tank, he really has no chance whatsoever, unfortunately. He's only got 4 machine guns. He's not going to be able to penetrate my armor, and so it's just a matter of scaring him to death, unfortunately. I come rolling past, I'm pretty safe, I don't need to worry too much, and in a minute I'm going to open fire with a shell. And what is actually surprising is I don't even hit him with the shell that I fire. I actually miss, and it is the blast force. There you go, I hit the ground just next to it, but it's the blast force and the shrapnel that does its damage and knocks out that poor anti-aircraft gun tank. So that's 3 kills to me, not a bit of damage caused to myself, and I've been able to pretty much secure this entire village on my own, and the battle continues. So I'm capping this point for the team, and I've finally got some assistance in the form of another DERP Sherman, and we've got a Stuart coming up to try to take us on, another light tank, and he is going to find out that facing 2 DERP Shermans is not pleasant. There's my first round straight through his hull. He's already been hit by my ally, and we have just disabled most of his crew, and we are just peppering him with 50 cal fire until my ally takes him out with another shot. Lovely. And we hold down this position. Now what happens next is interesting. A tank comes up from behind us, this little Swedish vehicle, and noting that, I come round to the flank. I come behind these houses at the top of the screen and come round to make sure he doesn't get much further. And we have a brilliant little, as I press play again, a brilliant little scene here. This Swedish tank is not really armed with a good enough gun to take me on from the front. He slides actually slides to a halt, drifting round as he notices me coming on and I'm turning to face him. He could, or really should, have just left me alone. He easily has the speed to escape from me. He could have maneuvered round to my side and stood a better chance. Instead, he decides to try to take me on frontally, which is not going to work with the minimal gun that he has here. He slid to a stop. I'm still coming around, and in a minute he's going to take a shot at me, and he's going to hit that front armor. Now the Sherman's front armor is not great, but because of its slope it is actually more effective than you'd think. There's his shot. I think it's a 75mm low velocity weapon there, and it just pings off the front of my tank like it was a firing blanks. Now my shot in response, he's already moving here. He realizes he's made a mistake and he attempts to move and get out of the way, but my shot in response strikes just underneath the turret. It actually strikes almost perfectly the area between the turret and the hull, the turret ring. That shot penetrating into the tank there actually kills his loader, I believe, or commander. He kills the other person in the turret. He's still got his gunner, but he has now got one less person in that tank. He now makes a break for it as I pass through the house. He now runs for it and I chase him down. Another drift from him to get back into position to fire at me. He takes the shot, I believe, in a second. There we go, and again he fluffs it up. It bounces off the front of my hull, and that leaves him now very vulnerable. He should have continued to move, really. He tries to reverse, probably to try to get behind cover, as I'm pebble dashing him with machine gun fire here. Machine guns are not always useful in Warthunder, but the 50 caliber on top of my tank is actually quite dangerous, and my shot smashes right into the front of him. That shot actually kills his driver and ensures he is not going to be going anywhere. You can see the big hole in the front of the tank there next to the driver's vision slit on the right hand side. That kills his driver. He's got a dead commander loader in the hull, in the turret as well. He fires again and misses. My 50 caliber is all that's required to finish him off with a shot through the turret. Now, meanwhile, while I have been having my little duel with him, my ally in the other Sherman 105, as you can see there at the top of the screen, is moving north to basically stop the enemy spawn. The enemy spawn is just beyond here to the north, and he's going to be basically firing at anything that comes past him. He just takes a shot there from an enemy tank in the distance, and he's going to fire back, but his shot is going to become intercepted. He takes the shot at the other vehicle, and if we have a look here, I believe he's also firing high explosive anti-tank. You can see he's aiming for this guy, another Swedish tank, but instead his round is going to get intercepted by this German Panzer III, which is basically driving across from the spawn. There is my ally's high explosive anti-tank round. Actually, I think he might have been aiming for the Panzer III all along. His aim is not good if he's aiming for the Swedish tank, which is actually stationary, so he might have been aiming for the Panzer III all the time. He hits the Panzer III, but it is a very bad shot. The Panzer III is actually quite maneuverable and quite quick. And you can see here, all he manages to do is cut off the tracks. He has tracked the Panzer III. So unfortunately, it's a relatively minor bit of damage, and this is going to come back to haunt me especially, as this Panzer III is going to be my nemesis in a second. The two tanks up here are continuing to fire at us. The Panzer III doesn't actually seem to have realised he's under attack from the side down by the village. At least not yet. Now, meanwhile, I noticed this other tank driving down by this patch of woods, basically trying to hit my friend in the other Sherman from the side, which is basically gives him the best possibility of killing him. And I think he's going to come around, but he doesn't. He comes around by this rock. He takes a shot, however, fails to notice me, and I kill him with a single shell. Now, having another look at this, here he comes. You can see he's come up. He's tricked me. I thought he was going to come further down. He takes a shot at my ally. I actually think that is a damaging shell, because my ally's rate of fire definitely goes down after that. But there is my shot straight to the turret, and just catches just above the turret ring there, and that kills everyone in his tank, and that is him out as well. And I have a feeling it might have been the same player that I killed in the village just a few moments ago. And I turn now, because I believe that my friend in the other Sherman needs some assistance here. So I try to get into position. I come down this little dip, poke my head out, take a shot at this Panzer III, and that's sayonara to me. And I was quite shocked at what happened here. Let's have a look at the kill cam. The Panzer III manages to hit my hull, it hits the turret ring, blows up, and he kills all of my crew in one shot. Let's have a look at this again in slow-mo, and let's have a look at my shot. Here is my shell I've just fired, and here we go, both shells passing over each other. There's my heat round at the top, there is the enemy armor piercing capped round below. His round is a lot quicker than mine in terms of velocity. His round is going to reach me before my round reaches him. And if we press play yet again, off goes my heat round. I'm already dead by this point. His shell has penetrated me already. My round is it's a pretty good shot actually. It's a bit high, but it's on target, and I believe it strikes him just to the right hand side of the gun. Right there, that shot kills everyone on the that side of the turret. But unfortunately it's not enough to kill him outright. Let's have a look at the view from his end. Here he is lining up. He takes the shot. He has a 50mm high velocity gun, which is actually surprisingly effective at this battle rating. And as you can see, his shell here with the white flare I've just fired. There goes my heat round, and in comes his shot, and it's going to hit the hull of my vehicle. I've probably gone a little too far up this ridge. I probably should have come back. Yeah, it's a good shot into the side of my tank, and that's basically it for me. You can see the scuff mark on the side of my turret there from an earlier shot. Not sure who was responsible for that. You can see here, if I switch to the X-ray cam, so we can see this in slow motion, the shell has just penetrated in, it blows up, and you can see it's killed all of my crew, leaving me basically unable to continue. That is me basically out. All of the hull crew and all of the turret crew killed off there. And unfortunately, that was pretty much it for the rest of the match. It didn't get much better than that, unfortunately. We did win the match, but that was the end of my derpy Sherman, unfortunately, for this particular match. So, I hope you enjoyed that particular fight with me and the derp Sherman on the lovely snow map there in Warthunder. If you like this, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more Warthunder, Jurassic World Evolution 2 and plenty of other games from those of us at Triple Gaming. And there will be more Warthunder next week when I have another derp Sherman fight already ready to go to show off. So, I hope that you'll enjoy that. But for now, stay safe and goodbye.